Welcome to another round of salty takeaways and bitter ends after the 2-0 loss for Atlanta United at Mercedes-Benz, losing to Nashville SC. Nick Alifi there, John Nelson here. We'll go through all of the numbers, go through what we saw on SofaScore, lineup stats, all that kind of stuff, plus your comments as well. And obviously, if there's anything that you have still left over, you're going to have an Overreaction Monday on the SDH Network to take care of your thoughts there as well. Nick Alifi alongside. So, Nick Alifi, sir, opening statement.
Today was about a lack of execution. It was a game of moments, and I know that sounds really cliche and stupid, but it is. It's exactly what it was. It was, we managed to get down time and time again into Nashville's 18. They dropped their entire team, a couple of water boys and the subs all into the box to stop it. And when we had a shot dead to rights, we whiff and we whiff again. And then you have a player who dribbles into the 18 to line things up. And then the ball, gets tapped away at the last second and then pinballs around and then finally gets, launched out. And so everything seemed to be a half second slow today. It just seemed like that windup was a half second slow. That pass to the open guy was a half second slow. The pass that should have clearly gone to someone's foot ended up petering out about a half yard to a yard short and get picked up by a Nashville player. It was execution. I think the players were in the right spots, but that delivery, that final delivery, whether it was a pass or whether it was a shot, whether it was the closing down of someone, it just wasn't there. And so it looked like tired legs and tired minds to me. And I'm not putting that on anyone. I'm not putting that on Rob Valentino or Pineda or any of that. I'm just saying it looked like tired legs and minds. You had a stretch of games that were, some schedule compression taking place, but it just looked to me like that was the case. And it was a painful watch. Nashville, they got their goal and said, okay, boys, we're going to pack it in. And then that's
Gary Smith will do that.
Yep. That's exactly what he did. And it worked. Be mad at it, but it worked. The goal with the opening goal, it looked to me like Franco just had I don't know. He blinked and he missed it. He twisted his head and he missed it. Maybe he saw a beam of light. Swamp gas, weather balloon, and that allowed that half second gap to develop, and that was all Nashville needed. The second goal was one of those where it's, you bring everyone up just to try to get the draw. You leave the goal open as a result, and, you get one swift counter, and then the final stake takes place. So, yeah, that's what it looked like to me. Yeah. Nothing major, nothing crazy.
And let's take a look at some of the numbers and the statistics on the night and all of the ratings, courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. Atlanta United had 61% of the possession, 16 shots to 10 for Nashville. 5 of the 16 were on target for Nashville, 2 of the 10 on target for Atlanta United. 6 blocks on the night for Nashville. 6 corners, obviously, with the pressing, and you're down a goal and trying to get an equalizer there. You had 3 yellows for Nashville as well. Big chances, counterattacks, shots, goals, shots inside the box, outside the box, all in Nashville's favor. And you get into the passing numbers. Atlanta United passes at 89% efficiency on 552 passes, about 40% less from Nashville on the day, 294 of 349 at 84%. Long balls for Nashville, 28 of 46 at 61%. Atlanta slightly less than that. Dribbles, Atlanta was more successful at 19 of 26. Possession lost far, not necessarily far more, but it was 117 to 99. They won the duels. Tackles, interceptions, and clearances, all in Nashville's half. Looking at the numbers, courtesy of our friends at SofaScore for Atlanta United. You've got some mostly 6s and 7s here. Some 7s going to Luis Araujo, Marcelino Moreno at a 7.4, Araujo at a 0.3, Miles at a 0.2, Anton Walks at a 7. Some 6s from there as well. 7 goes to Ezequiel Barco, who got the yellow for disagreeing for and how a foul was not assessed by the center ref. Joseph had a 6.9, Sejdic at a 6.6, Alan Franco at a 0.8, George Bello at a 6.2, which to me sounds a bit confusing. Brooks Lund at a 6.5 and Brad at a 6.4. So those are your numbers courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. Let me get into Luis Araujo with you here as a first point. There were moments in this match where folks got to see the artistry, imagination, and skill set of Luis Araujo up close and personal.
Yeah, I mean, the skill's there. He can put on a show. When he got down to the 18, it looks like he tried some things, and it just didn't go in his favor. He got a little frustrated, especially toward I would say toward about halfway through the second half. You could really see the frustration mounting for him. He's going to be something really fun to watch as he starts to get more acclimatized to the style of play of MLS and the physicality of it. Now, I think that's one of the great misconceptions about Ligue 1 is that it's this really soft league and that it's if you run with any sort of intent, you can be a successful player in Ligue 1, and that's not correct at all. It's pretty darn brutal. So, I don't care what you think about the Frenchies, but they can play some physical ball when they need to. He knows how to handle physicality, but that doesn't mean that, we saw this with Gonzalo Higuain when he came over from Serie A, that he thought he was going to be able to come over here, smoke a cigarette, and score goals. Right. It's when you come over here expecting one thing, and Luis maybe have said that, in his mind, okay, yeah, I can do some things. I'm skilled. I can, but that it just looks to me like he's not quite acclimatized to the league yet. The physicality, the speed, the fact that American players are largely, probably maybe a little bit better than a lot of people who come over here from Europe may have anticipated. So this stuff's going to fall for him. The fact that you're already seeing the artistry, I think, indicates the fact that this acclimatization period is going to be very short, and then you're going to start seeing some of the wild and crazy stuff that he was trying to pull with shots on goal start to materialize. I think it's going to be a very short learning curve for him, but because you can already see the building blocks of something that could be very special.
When it comes to the rest of the side, I know that we're seeing this group with those four up top with Barco, and Barco looking at his individual numbers, and you can understand his frustration on the day when he was fouled 5 times and was given one foul himself, and then for a foul that was not called, having a bit of a discussion with the center ref and then getting a yellow for it. And literally, there was a point where Ezequiel Barco was basically fed up with how things were, where he was getting fouled all over the park.
Right. And that's the difference between MLS and the rest of the world, is that, and Jarrett may be able to speak to, the SPL. I think they may have a sort of similar mindset. They do not protect playmaking players in this league. Any other league of any sort of standard, a lot of those fouls are going to be called that people are hitting him with, and yet you don't see it here. Every week we yell about Pro and talk about how Pro's terrible, and I have nothing new to add to that conversation. I'm not going to bore anyone by going on yet another rant about Pro. They're trash. We know they're trash. It's, am I saying every ref that Pro sends out is trash? No, but the ones that seem to make their way into high profile situations lose the plot with regularity. And this is nothing new. So if you don't protect playmakers will leave. And if playmakers leave, your league will not be as interesting or fun. So Pro may need to start figuring out how to protect people who want to keep the ball at their feet. This isn't England in 1982. This isn't the Scottish Premier League of 10 years ago. It's not Serie A in the 60s and 70s. You have to protect playmakers, and the officials that come out of pro need to understand that.
When you look at the game and you get that first goal on the board, much to what you had discussed, when you have a team, and this is a point that, probably will be one of the underpinnings of this particular program, the way that this team was structured, meaning Nashville, Gary Smith wanted to build a tremendous spine, and he has done that. And so when you have a lead and you can rely on a back line of Daniel Levitz and Walker Zimmerman and Dave Romney, and you have a midfielder like an Anibal Godoy, and you bring in folks like Alistair Johnson who did well today, and Washington as well. When you've got that solid back line of five, I mean, when you've got that one goal lead, basically it was 7 guys, Ta'anunga and Anibal Godoy, that were a part of this process as well, who basically, you had that line of 5, you had 7 drifting back, and basically Nashville was sitting there saying, okay, try to figure it out.
Yeah, I counted. I lost count of how many times I saw Joseph Martinez surrounded by 5 different guys. It's like they formed a perimeter around Joseph Martinez, and then 1 or 2 of the guys out of that perimeter would break off to press someone with the ball. And as a result, Martinez saw nothing. He would, every ball that came to him was not even a 50-50. It was like 60-40 Nashville's favor. He was just hoping to put a foot on it. And so I know people hate that sort of mentality that, okay, we got 1 goal in, and now we are going to throw refrigerators and, slash the tires on the MARTA bus and everything else.
But the bottom line is, when you're on the road and your road form has been horrible this season,
that's what you got to do.
You're going to do what you need to do to keep your spot when it comes to the standings in a very, very crowded East.
Right.
And, Nashville at the beginning of the day was at 32 points, and they're in this group of folks who are from 3 to 6, separated only by a handful. And then you've got, that second group of folks with Atlanta United being a part of it at 7 through 9 that are right there at 27 points. And all you're doing is right now you're trying to do, quoting Shane McMahon and Vincent K. McMahon, you are trying to do what's best for business.
That's it.
And what's best for business in this case, if you are Nashville, is if you go in to a visiting barn where you are 0-2-5 this year, 0-2-5 going into this match, then you get a 1-goal lead. What are you going to do? What is best for business in that case? You are going to rely on your defensive stalwarts that Gary Smith has brought in and basically turn this into a staring contest and try to have Atlanta United sit there and penetrate what you've created.
Yeah, look, the old adage is that, the enemy has a say. And so we had these ideas, okay, it's Pineda's opening match. We're going to run wild. It's going to be this great thing, and we're going to get this big win. And Nashville has a say in that. And Nashville said, no, we're going to throw the kitchen sink at trying to get 1 goal, and then we're going to throw the kitchen sink at defending that. They did it. And it was what's best for business for them. They're walking out with 3 points. It sucks. It sucks to watch a game like that. But, Gary Smith's not going to apologize for it. And neither will anyone in that. I mean, you saw the reaction after they won. I mean, they were running around, jumping into each other's arms like they had won a playoff game. They understood what the deal was, and it was 3 points or bust. Atlanta had great form coming into this game. So, do what you got to do to win, man. Just win, baby. Al Davis.
Yep.
He was a goofy old man, but he had some words of wisdom. Just win, baby. That's it.
After the match, Gonzalo Pineda was asked about if he was satisfied from Atlanta United's performance in today's game, and he says, quote, "Well, I cannot say we are satisfied. Obviously, we lost the game. That's painful. That's painful to me, painful for the players too, painful to the fans, which are the most important part. What I can say that I'm happy with the effort from the players. I'm happy with them trying to score many goals, trying to cross from different areas, trying to create more chances, trying to just do everything to win. It was disappointing because I felt like the team tried and the team played well. But obviously, we need to work on a couple more things in order to get better results. The heart, the passion, the attacking-minded style of the players, and the times when they tried to take risks in 1v1 and even sometimes 1-against-3. That's what I wanted. A team that's trying to score every time. I'm happy with the effort of the players, but the soccer's on me. So this one is on me. I always say that I have big shoulders to take responsibility, and this one is on me. My job is to give the players the tools to succeed, and maybe that's something that I didn't do today. That's on me. The players, I can't ask any more in terms of effort, the heart, and the passion that they put on the field, end quote.
That's what you need to say. It's not, I mean, look, it's, I appreciate Gonzalo coming out and really taking this one, on the chin. Appreciate that. This is schedule compression. It's like I said, tired legs and minds, and you can't coach tired legs and minds. You can have the greatest game plan in the world, and if you have tired legs and minds, it will not work. You will always be a half step short. You will always be a second too late. And if you have a team that is highly motivated to turn form around, you're probably not going to win. That's not, and yes, the buck does stop with Gonzalo Pineda because he's the manager. First game out, I get it. But as we said a moment ago, Nashville has a say in how the game goes, and they had their say early, and they put the stamp on it by throwing the kitchen sink at defending that lead. They did a fantastic job disrupting play. They did a fantastic job in jumping passing lanes. They did a fantastic job in playing physically without fouling. And I know people are going to get mad and go, well, pro. It is possible to play physical without fouling the hell out of somebody. Yes. And Nashville played very physical. They put shoulders in. They would go knee to thigh to disrupt, fighting for 50-50 balls. They did exactly what they had to do. And so I appreciate the fact that Gonzalo said what he said, but look, it's a process, guys. It's a process. If you look at social media, we are very extreme in our views. Like when we go on a 4-game winning streak, it's the greatest thing in the world. And when you lose a game, it's we're absolutely trash.
And I think that we live in extremes. I think that there are a lot of folks who look at things in the ideas of one side or the other.
Right.
And I think that what we try to do here is introduce all colors and have folks understand where things may be coming from in all of that, and putting things into context, and being able to let things breathe and try to explain it as best we can. So your highs aren't too high and your lows aren't too low, because if you can look at things through an even-keeled prism, then that's the best for you through an entire season, I would think.
Well, it's sort of the culture of where we are as well. It's very binary. It's very 1 or 0, and that's what the binary is. It's like computer language. It's 1 or 0.
Yes.
And so, and it's black and white thinking. It's something is either excellent or it's terrible, and there's no shades of gray. And that is something that I know I have struggled with my entire life, is identifying shades of gray in things. And I am extraordinarily skilled. I am the Rembrandt. I am the Picasso. I am the Michelangelo of identifying black and white thinking. And it is a gift. It is a unique and wonderful gift. And as fans, it's short for fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. We gravitate toward the extreme. These organizations that field these teams want us to skew hyper to everything's great. They're or elements of every fan base. I said every fan base that skew toward everything is terrible. Talk to an Alabama fan when they don't beat Ole Miss by 35.
Paul.
Yep. Paul, I think it may be time to fire Nick Saban because we should have beat them at Oxford by 42 points. It happens. You ask the New York Yankees fans, right? The Yankees, what? I think we should throw out everybody, right? Get Cashman out, get everybody out. They're all bums. Get them out. It's nationwide, man. And Atlanta United is no different. We have fans who gravitate toward these extremes. And if you say, well, there's a little bit of gray in here, well, you're a sunshine pumper and everything's bad. I'm not sunshine pumping anything with today. What I saw today was tired legs and minds. And it happens. It's not FIFA. It's not Football Manager. It happens. And so we have to start identifying where the gray is, because otherwise you end up like some of these organizations that just they win and then they blow everything up and the fans scream blow everything up, and then when everything actually gets blown up they're like, wait, whoa, hold up, this is not what we asked for. Right. And I always use the University of Tennessee because it's the prime example to me of this. It's when you blow everything up because you think you're not reaching your potential, I promise you, below that basement, there's a sub basement. And below that one, there's the cellar. And so there are more levels to fall. But this team came off of 4-game winning streak. They dropped one today. One that they should have, I thought, at least got a point out of. Right. And you didn't. So now it's get these guys a couple days off, let them rest, let them recuperate, spend a lot of time in the film room, and clean stuff up. Like the goal that was allowed, the initial goal, Franco was a step off, a step away. If he reacts a little sooner and he hits that angle, at least he's able to be in the attacker's mind. It was Ruiz who scored for was it Ruiz who scored for Nashville? No, in the first one. The first one. Yeah. Was trying to remember my order here. It's all right. No, but it was Rios scores in the one. Daniel Rios late first half. Right, Daniel Rios scores. If as a defender, if you can get in the peripheral vision of a striker and close quickly, and you get in their head, they may pull that shot a touch wide. They may put a little too much on it and it goes over the bar. Instead, it was hit perfectly because he was a step away. He didn't close down quick enough. That's something that can be solved in the film room, and that's something that can be solved with rest and recuperation. So for those who are saying throw out player X, player Y, let me just tell you, you do that too many times, you end up being Cincinnati or Minnesota, and you don't want to be there. So stability, and it is the most boring thing in the world. Stability is the most boring thing in the world. We like dynamic things. We like fast cars. We like the biggest house on the biggest hill on the biggest side of town. We like big and loud and amazing. But stability over the long run is better for your organization. It's better for your sports team. It's better for you individually than hyper dynamic action, right? And to remove players now or bench players now and not allow them time to work through this, or force in someone who may or may not be ready, I don't think we're there yet. And I think at this point, Gonzalo Pineda should just be it should just be known. This is the experiment time. From now until the end of the season, whether we make the playoffs or not, it's the time to start experimenting with things. You want to keep Barco on the field because Barco you need to sell, and probably more than likely he will be gone in January. So you want to make sure you keep that valuation up as much as possible. So you want to give him every opportunity to put the ball into dangerous positions and or put the ball in the back of the net. Franco, you just put a lot of money into him. You're not going to necessarily want to just move him out. So my suggestion would be let him play through some things. I know Campbell's back there, but he's going to be a destroyer when the time comes.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't want to put a young defender back there, have him get cooked a few times too early, and then now that venom's all being aimed at him. So I would suggest let Franco work through this. Let's see what we have in him before we just send him out to pasture. So with that, let's go ahead and open up what the Twitters and the social media are saying. And I await your hate mail. Let's go.
All right. So here we go. Let's start off with Turner Kirby. And Turner, and once again, we'll always play this in the cliffhanger format. So I will go through what is in the timeline. And if you wish me to stop, just say stop, and I will do so.
Roger that.
Turner Kirby. Played a lot better than people will give the team credit for. People will say that we were passive, horizontal, a wet noodle offensively, etc. I think credit goes to Nashville for being stout defensively. Got 2 weeks to adjust and get ready for the next. Nashville's a good team, by the way. I think people seem to forget that. That's from Turner.
Cosign. Carry on.
On the flip side, Michael Head. Hard to be positive. That was awful. Seems like we regressed. Terrible. Or maybe Nashville is that good.
It is. Parking the bus is something that can make you look very good in a game, but it is not something you want to repeat on a regular basis. It's what we call provincial tactics in Serie A, where you have the big city teams that go and face like the outer regional teams and like the Udineses of the world and the Sassuolos of the world. And in the old days, they would just throw everyone, like the striker would barely venture beyond the half line. And it was like even worse than Catenaccio. It just was a disaster zone. And so it looks good in a game, but over a period of time, it shows that you have too many weaknesses to venture forward. You don't have enough talent to venture forward, and you don't have enough ball playing capability to keep the ball at your feet to play an expansive game. And that's not a knock. It's reality. And if you look at Nashville's away form, it showcases why they did what they did. I don't think Atlanta regressed. I think that they played as best they could. Again, everything was a half step or a half second off. That to me is tired minds and legs. But I don't think we've regressed tactically from this game to the last 4 games.
Nathan Pugh pulls in a John C. Reilly GIF from Adult Swim, and it's the Bringo from John C. Reilly. So after the lifting up of a garbage can lid, so I'm guessing Nathan
that's a Dr. Steve Brule reference from Mr. Pugh. Okay, I think I know which one he's talking about.
Bringo.
Yeah. So I would not say that Atlanta was trash today, and I would not say we warrant the Dr. Steve Brule GIF quite yet. I would not say we're there. That's pure Cincinnati. Cincinnati deserves all of the Steve Brule references and the Bringos and all that. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Also on the board, Chris Hutchison, goals in stoppage time caused me to launch into expletive-laden tirades. Put me down for 2 of those with extra salt, please.
Yeah, look, the second goal is painful because it was like that's like a meme-worthy goal.
Well,
just because you call everyone forward. Well, you call everyone forward.
And it's like pulling your goalie in hockey.
Right.
And everybody's forward, and you're trying to get that equalizer, and so
yes.
And unfortunately, this is one of those rare instances where instead of it being an opportunity for a goal kick or your offense having to defend to make sure everything stays in the box, it goes directly to Joe Willis. Willis spots the outlet immediately, hits the long outlet, and everybody's off and running.
Right. I'm not saying it like LOL Atlanta's terrible. I'm saying that's why I'm saying like we pull the goalie, the hockey term. We pull the goalie, and you're throwing everything in the kitchen sink to try to get one last shot at goal, which does what? The entire back half is open. The net is open. You're already down a goal. Whether you lose by 1 or 10, you're still going to lose.
Right.
So you throw everything forward. That's all. I think we let's take a couple more, and then I got to bounce to some family activities.
No worries. We only have a couple left, so we're in good shape there. Couple about Jurgen Damm. Griffin Westbrook says, "Is it just me or should we sell?" And Stizzle A says, "Damm was a bust grade at TikTok, not much else." I think
injuries
that really
played into Damm.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, injuries played in with Damm's. And here's the thing: everyone loved Tito's speed, right? Tito's thighs, everything else. They all loved it. But the problem with these fast twitch players, right? These they're Ferraris, and when everything's working, they're lighting things up. They're running at 110 miles an hour. It's a hell of a lot of fun. But if you get a quad injury, a calf injury, some sort of knee tweak, you have to shelve them.
And remember the early travel that was involved in this, going back to the New England Revolution game, where it was, I believe, day of travel going into either Providence or Boston.
Right.
And you're having to do it day of or day before, I forget. I think it was day of. Go up early the day of, do this match. And this was where Damm and Barco were both injured. And if I'm not mistaken, it was basically the same thing.
Right.
And you're dealing with Damm as a Ferrari, and it takes a while for that engine and those tires and that transmission to get back to full song. So I understand that.
Right. And so that's, from a skill perspective, we have not seen enough of Damm to scream we want him out. However, his contract value, from what we've seen, is such that it may be the necessary option to move on from him. If he can't,
and you got him on a free.
You got him on a free, but you're paying the contract. You're paying him, right?
Right.
So you got him on a free. That's great. But what I would be, I want to see him healthy.
Yes.
But if you're paying him a high salary, regardless of whether you got him on a free or not, you need to know what you're, if the salary's too high and the production's not there, you need to move in a salary cap league. And we saw this with Julio Jones, right? We saw it with Julio. And I'm not comparing like greatness levels. What I'm saying is that you have a Ferrari in Julio Jones who, when he's working, can blow your mind. However, when you miss a substantial chunk of games and you look at that contract and you're like, ooh, is it really worth 5.5 games to get to pay this kind of money? And you look at Jurgen Damm, you say, well, for the contract value, is it worth that contract for the production? I think let's see if he gets back to full fitness this season. Right. It's not a cop-out answer. Let's see if he gets back to full fitness. If he does not get back to full fitness this season, I think we move. But I want to see what we can get out of him this season.
Right. 2 more left on the Twitters, and coming from each side of the aisle here. Jake Michaels says that was terrible. Same kind of showing we would have seen under Heinze or Frank DeBoer. Worse is this comes at home. Oh. Now we lose key players to international duty. Play like that again. We'll be back where we left Heinze in no time. Really boring and discouraging debut for Pineda.
Again, Frank was a failed close down away from Atlanta going to a back-to-back MLS Cup appearance.
Mm-hmm.
2020, you lost your star striker against this very team.
Yep.
And there were and Frank had no answers on how to dramatically improve things. That's on Frank. I have no problem pointing to 2020 with Frank saying this is no. However, 2019 was not a bad year for Frank de Boer.
No.
It may be boring. You may not like Dutch possession, the mechanicalization of the that system. I understand. However, it's something where, come on, if you want to say something about Heinze, I'm more than happy to entertain that, because that was a lot of sizzle and not a lot of steak.
Right.
And that's fine. You have a new manager, you had an interim manager and a new manager. You had off-day violations where the players were being overworked. You had that's been addressed. It's out there. It's publicly known information. You have a guy now who's coming in Pineda, who is coming from, whether you like it or not, the premier team in MLS. And he comes from a system where you're not dead until you're dead. Remember Zombie Sounders. They suck.
And then here they come.
They're winning an MLS Cup. How in the world did this happen? Well, because you're not dead until you're dead. You know, and for your take, if you want to say that after the team doesn't make the playoffs, 100%, we can have the conversation. However, I think now you have the team exhausted themselves emotionally, losing Gabriel Heinze, all that mess, all the upheaval. You have Valentino come in, who did, Saint Valentino, right?
Yeah.
And you have, where you would normally have a dip under an interim manager, you had them perform even better than they were before. This team is exhausted emotionally, physically, and mentally. So I'm not ready to say we're going all the way back. I'm not saying your opinion's invalid. I'm saying I disagree with it, and that reasoning that I just laid out is why I disagree with you. And it's okay. If you think we're done and dusted, the international break does not help. It does not. However, a lot of teams are dealing with this. And this is what happens when you get stars. When you get stars, they go on an international.
People come knocking on your door.
Right. If you know who doesn't have a lot of international problems? Cincy. Cincy does not have a lot of international problems. So, it's upheaval. Upheaval is not always a positive. Upheaval, and I know that's where we are now. We just change things sometimes to change them. Upheaval is not always a positive. It's exciting. It makes it really fun for Twitter and social media and news media, but it is not beneficial to the stakeholders of that organization. So again, stability is the best thing in the long run.
Last one for you before your closing statements comes from Shiva. Valentino did not win his first match either. Yes, we lost today, but sometimes a coaching change messes with the player's head. They have had 3 coaches in 1 year, not easy mentally. I like that we looked dangerous in the attack. We just did not look sharp. And to Shiva's point, we forgot to mention George Bello and his impact early on coming in from the left-hand side.
Right. 100%. Because not every player is guaranteed to be here next year, whether they want to be or not. And a player who came in and was like, okay, I know Gabriel Heinze. I am thrilled to be here, whether you're, hydration levels aside. I am thrilled to be here. I know this guy's like a drill instructor. I'm cool with it. Let's ride. And then he's gone, and you're like, wait a minute. Who's this guy? He seems really nice, but where the heck do I fit in with this? And then you get a new manager. Like, whoa, okay, hold on. Do I even fit with anything that's going on in this organization now? I got my family moved up here. I just got a house or I'm renting a place. We just unpacked everything. Do I need to pack everything back up? Do I need to have my agent reach out to teams? Is this it's distraction. And then you're playing, you sometimes push a little too far, and sometimes things just don't, it doesn't work because you're pushing yourself a little too hard and you're not relaxed and just playing the best you can to your ability. And I think, again, exhausted mentally, exhausted physically, exhausted emotionally. And we are in a period of upheaval. So we need to steady the waters, as steady as they may have appeared under Rob Valentino. It doesn't change the fact that everyone within that organization knew Rob Valentino, including Rob Valentino, that he was the interim manager. He was not the final answer. And so as a player, you're like, I have got to play like there is no tomorrow each game, because the new guy's going to come in here and he may think I'm a bum. Mm-hmm. And if he thinks I'm a bum, I'm going to have to go to a team I don't want to go to and live a life I don't necessarily want to live that's conducive for me, my wife, my kids. I would rather stay here and make this bank and get these steady checks. It takes a toll on you. It takes a toll. And we all know that. For the past 2 years, a lot of us have lived with economic anxiety or uncertain living conditions, and it's taken a toll on it. And these guys aren't robots. So
that is the last word from Nick. And along those lines, once again, remember, if you still have thoughts, if you're going to ruminate on them over the weekend, we've got Overreaction Monday. Nick will be back for soccer over there on Monday night to talk
so much spicy stuff to talk about.
Yes, there is. But so once again, thanks to everybody who chimed in on the timeline at Soccer Down Here to let us know what you thought after the 2-0 loss from Nashville SC and Atlanta United. So once again, like, friend, be a part of the conversation on Twitter. Don't forget to download the Soccer Down Here app, available on iOS and Android. You can catch us at soccerdownhere.net, twitch.tv/soccerdownhere. Don't forget, you can also get all of our Soccer Down Here gear as well. Some great stuff from Hudson, the Mile High 17 as well. So you can always support SDH in a bunch of different ways across the board. And thank you for being a part of the show tonight. That's your salty takeaway for the 2-0 loss for Atlanta and Nashville. Nick, send us home.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you, even if you completely disagree with us. It's 100% okay, because we love hearing from you. Okay? It's okay to disagree with us. It's 100% okay to disagree with us.
Yep.
All right? So please feel free. Keep clicking. Keep chiming in. We love hearing from you. Remember, identify the shades of gray. Life is so much more enjoyable when you're not just living in everything's great, everything's terrible. It's okay to kind of hover right there in the middle and kind of slide a little bit. Okay, everything's pretty good. Everything's all right. Things aren't so great right now. We can make a subtle course correction and make things far more optimal. That's my advice for you guys going into the week. Till then, I will see you Monday night. Mucha plata, euro, all of it. May all your dreams come true.